From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. will serve as the guest of honor and keynote speaker in the 127th Philippine Navy or PN Anniversary Celebration to be held at the Naval Operating Base Subic in Zambales Province on Tuesday morning. The Commander-in-Chief will lead the christening rites and commissioning ceremony for two naval assets, the newly acquired patrol gunboat PG-909 and guided missile frigate FFG-06, where the unveiling of the ships' names will be announced. Thereafter, he will conduct a tour of the FFG-06 and will be briefed on its capability demonstration. This historic milestone marks a significant leap in the Navy's modernization efforts. During the program proper, President Marcos Jr. will confer awards to several naval personnel and units for outstanding performance and dedication to duty. This year's anniversary theme is Philippine Navy addressing challenges, promoting regional stability, and strengthening maritime security. The celebration showcases the Navy's resilience in confronting evolving security threats, its active role in regional maritime cooperation, and its continuous modernization to protect the country's maritime domains.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday revealed that his administration has begun conducting a performance review of cabinet members, signaling potential changes ahead based on the results of the evaluation. In the premiere episode of his BBM podcast, the president said, "The review is part of a continuing effort to assess government performance and root out inefficiency and corruption, particularly as his administration enters its second half." Asked whether there are cabinet officials at risk of being removed, President Marcos said the ongoing review could lead to firings or legal action depending on the findings. The chief executive also defended his approach to dealing with erring officials, saying that several have already been removed without fanfare.
Nakaraang 2 taon, 3 years, basta't may report kami na validated, tanggal yan. Hindi na namin ina-announce, pero tanggal yan. Kadalasan. Marami na talagang, pero hindi na namin pinag-usapan kasi gulo na naman eh. Kasi basta umalis ka na. Kundi kakasuhan ka namin, kukulong kita, umalis ka na lang. Pero ang gagawin natin, performance review. Maganda naman ang takbo, pero performance review. Para ito yung target natin, ba't di natin naabot? O ito, nakuha natin. Ito, overpriced na naman. Ito yung ganito, ganyan. All of these things that, performance review. Titignan namin, bakit mabagal ang baba ng serbisyo? Ano yung gagawin natin para pabilisin? Yun ang importante. Dito nga sa ginagawa namin performance review, yun ang warning ko sa kanila, and that's what we will have to look at again. Kung talagang may nagkukulang o corrupt, kung talagang masyadong mabigat yung kanilang kasalanan, kasuhan na namin. Kung hindi sila nakapag-perform na mabuti, ito nga, sasabihin, pakinggan niyo yung tao. Madami kayong dahilan, marami kayong katwiran kung bakit hindi nangyari, bakit hindi nabuo, bakit nakatagalan, ganyan. Sabi ko, hindi interesado yung tao dyan. Ano ba, kailan ba? Kailan ba gagawin? Kailan namin maramdaman yan? Hindi mo naman masisi yung tao. Tama naman sila. Kayong may hawak ng gobyerno, ayusin ninyo. Huwag nyo nang isumbong sa amin. Basta't gawin na ninyo. Yun actually, that's the lesson we learned from this election. Don't explain it to us anymore, just do it. Tama na yung mga magagandang paliwanag with the good statistics at saka kung ano mga drawing. Basta gawin na lang ninyo. I don't blame people. Hindi mo naman masisi ang tao.
That was Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday said the government's rollout of 20 pesos per kilo rice was made possible due to ongoing reforms in agriculture and record-high rice production in the past years. Speaking in the first episode of his BBM podcast, President Marcos addressed criticisms over the timing of the program, which was launched days before the May 12 midterm elections. The president said the initiative could not have been done earlier because the necessary groundwork were yet to be laid. President Marcos cited major investments in irrigation, farm machinery, and rice production support as keys to achieving the target price. The chief executive emphasized that strengthening local production was essential to avoid over-reliance on rice importation, which he said had long been abused. President Marcos Jr. also pointed to smuggling and hoarding as factors that previously distorted prices, noting that even government officials were involved in illegal rice imports. The Philippine president said reforms in agencies like the National Food Authority or NFA, stricter enforcement, and structural changes in policy enabled the government to offer low-cost rice. President Marcos added that the 20 peso per kilo rice program is part of a broader strategy to stabilize supply and support farmers and not a temporary or election-driven measure.
Ang tanong, bakit ngayon lang?
Bakit ngayon lang?
Kung kaya nyo palang gawin, ba't di nyo ginawa nung 2022 o nung 2023? Dahil hindi namin, nung 2022, 2023, 2000, hindi pa namin kayang gawin. Bakit? Ang key dyan, yung production.
Opo.
Kaya patayo namin ng irrigation, ang dami naming dam na ginawa, ang dami na naming pinamigay na makinarya. 2023, ang ani ng palay sa Pilipinas, pinakamataas sa kasaysayan ng Pilipinas. Nalampasan pa yun noong 2024.
Opo.
Kaya sa production, dahan-dahan, inaalalay natin. Bakit ngayon lang na tayo nagbibigay ng tulong sa produksyon?
Opo.
Dahil ang Pilipinas, ang mga opisyal, na-spoiled. Basta't import lang ng import. Tapos, yung importation niyan, illegal and legal.
Opo.
Ang katotohanan, ang nakita namin, ang pang-control doon sa presyo ng bigas ay ang smuggled na bigas. Kaya nag-hoard.
Opo.
Yan. Ang una na, kung titignan ninyo, ang isa sa una namin ginawa, nag-raid kami ng mga warehouse. Itong pinakamalupit. Sinabi namin, ba't may ganito? At hindi na iniintindi, basta't puro ang import natin. Dahil ang nag-i-smuggle, mga official din ng gobyerno. Kumikita sila.
Opo.
O di bakit nila papalitan? Sige, pasok lang sila ng pasok. Hindi nila iniintindi ang production. Hindi nila iniintindi yung sistema. Hindi nila iniintindi ang presyo ng palay, ang presyo ng bigas, ang kikitain ng magsasaka. Wala. Noong pag-upo ko, meron talagang ganyan. Nung inipit namin yung mga smuggle at rineraid na namin yung mga warehouse, nabawasan yung supply. Kailangan namin ayusin yung NFA. Lahat yan, yung mga changes na ganyan, hindi ganun kasimpleng gawin. May batas na kailangan palitan, mayroong mga taong kailangan palitan, ibang konsepto na.
The program, officially named Benteng Bigas Meron Na or BBM Na, was initially launched in Cebu and parts of Metro Manila on May 1st but was temporarily suspended after the Commission on Elections or COMELEC raised concerns over the ayuda or assistance ban leading to the midterm elections. The launch in other areas pushed through on May 13th. The program allows families of vulnerable individuals such as senior citizens, solo parents, persons with disabilities, and beneficiaries of the government's Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program or FOPIS to purchase 10 kilograms of rice weekly or 40 kilograms monthly.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday said his administration will now prioritize delivering immediate solutions to everyday issues, acknowledging public frustration over slow government services and delayed project results. Speaking in the pilot episode of his BBM podcast, the president reflected on the outcome of the 2025 midterm elections, saying it revealed two key messages from the public. They are tired of politics and disappointed with government performance. President Marcos admitted the administration had concentrated on large, long-term infrastructure projects in key sectors like health, tourism, and transport. The chief executive said the government would now balance long-term programs with fast, practical solutions that improve daily life.
Para sa akin, I have two conclusions dito sa election. Una, nagsawa na ang Pilipino sa politika. Sawan-sawa na sa politika. Ang mensahe sa amin lahat, hindi lamang sa akin, kundi sa aming lahat, tama na yung pamumulitika ninyo. At kami naman ang asikasuhin ninyo. Tama rin naman eh. Yan naman talaga ang dapat natin ginagawa. Kaya mabuti. Tapos na yung eleksyon. Tama na yung politika. Tama na yung politika. Maggawin na natin lahat ng kailangan gawin. Disappointed ang tao sa serbisyo ng gobyerno. Hindi nila nararamdaman at masyadong mabagal ang galaw ng pagbubuo ng mga project na hindi pa nila maramdaman. Palagay ko ang nangyari dyan, dahil nung bago akong upo, sabi ko ayokong mangyari na business as usual. Dahil walang mangyayari sa Pilipinas. Hanggang doon na lang tayo, hindi tayo aalsa. Sabi ko kailangan natin baguhin ito. Kaya tinignan ko yung malalaking mahihirap na proyekto na long-term ang magiging effect. Yun ang trabahuhin natin. So tinatrabaho namin. Kaya ang lalaki, yung mga project na ginawa namin priority, yung mga tourism, yung mga health, yung mga puro malalaking proyekto. Ang problema sa malalaking proyekto, transportation.
Medyo matagal eh.
Matagal talaga. Kahit na super efficient, walang problema, tama, hindi nagka-problema. Matagal talaga 'yan. Isipin mo yung subway, huhukayin mo yung para makadaan yung tren. Matagal 'yun, matatapos 'yan. Tapos na ako, matagal na akong tapos. Pero sabi ko kailangan magagawa natin ito kasi kung hindi natin gawin paano na hanggang dito na lang tayo. Kailangan gumawa tayo ng bago. Ang nasa isip ko, may magandang kasabihan, if not us, who? If not now, when? Kailangan gawin na natin. Ngunit, ito talagang na-realize ko, na hindi natin nabigyan ng sapat ng atensyon yung mas maliit na bagay. Yung para maging masagbaginhawa ang pang-araw-araw ng buhay ng tao. Yung pila sa tren, yung traffic, yung mga ganyang klase, para naman mas maginhawa ang buhay ng tao.
That was Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Also on Monday, the rehabilitation of the San Juanico Bridge is necessary to prevent potential accidents, Malacañang said as it appeals for public's understanding amid potential disturbances in the area due to the ongoing works. In a press briefing, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said it is better to address potential issues early rather than risk any accidents that may occur if left unaddressed. The Department of Public Works and Highways, or DPWH, has already placed concerned agencies on heightened alert following the closure of the bridge. A multi-task force has been activated and public assistance desks will be set up on both sides of the bridge. Additionally, 24-hour patrol units will monitor safety in the area. Castro said a weighing station will be installed to determine which vehicles can safely pass through the bridge during its partial closure. Only light vehicles will be allowed to cross.
Ito lamang po ang una natin ipaparating. Ito'y ayon sa ating Pangulo. Ang pag-rehabilitate po, masasabi natin makakaroon ng pag-apekto no? Sa taong bayan, sa concerned citizens na nandoon sa lugar. Pero tignan po natin ito sa mas positibong aspeto dahil ito po ay rehabilitation. Mas nanaisin po talaga na maiwasan kung ano maaaring idulot ng disgrasya kung ito man ay hindi maaayos na maaga. So, sa ngayon po ay nagkaroon ng blue alert. Ibig sabihin nasa heightened alert ang mga concerned agencies para po matugunan, marespondihan kung ano man po ang pangangailangan ng mga tao na aapektuhan. Nagkaroon na rin po ng multi-task force at magkakaroon din po ng public assistance desk on both sides doon sa bridge. At may 24-hour patrol unit na rin po for safety monitoring. Magkakaroon din po ng weighing station para madetermina yung mga vehicle na pwedeng dumaan. At ito po rin ang ipinangako ng DPWH, magkakaroon po ng 13 shuttle buses, 24/7 service para dun sa mga tao na maapektuhan para po magamit po ang lugar dahil light vehicles lamang po ang maaaring gumamit dito. So, pansamantala yun po. At mayroon pong pakikipag-ugnayan ang DPWH sa LGUs at sa PPA para how to ferry the buses of passengers na maaaring maapektuhan po.
That was Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Still on Monday, Malacañang said initial findings show that the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA Trust Fund remains untouched despite concerns surrounding the 1.4 billion peso land deal that led to the removal of Administrator Arnel Ignacio. In a Palace Press briefing, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said that while the investigation is ongoing, there is no indication so far that the fund meant exclusively for the welfare of overseas Filipino workers or OFWs was used in the property transaction near Ninoy Aquino International Airport or NAIA Terminal 1. Under Republic Act or RA 10801 or the OWA Act, the OWA Fund is classified as a private trust fund solely for the benefit of its member OFWs and their families. The law strictly limits its use to the agency's core programs and services and explicitly prohibits it from being used to augment expenditures of other government entities. Section 38 of the law states the OWA Fund can only be used for the purposes for which it was created, that is, to serve the welfare of member OFWs and their families, which shall include the financing of core programs and services of the OWA. No funds shall be withdrawn from the OWA Fund to respond, aid, supplement, or in any manner augment any required expenditure by other government agencies. The law also clarifies that the fund, being a trust, is exempt from the government's one fund doctrine and must not revert to or be merged with the national coffers. The alleged anomalous 1.4 billion peso land acquisition deal, which supposedly did not have the approval of the agency's Board of Trustees, is now under investigation by the Department of Migrant Workers or DMW. The land deal was meant for the construction of a dormitory-type facility for OFWs near NAIA Terminal 1. Castro said the investigation will also look into the possible involvement of other OWA officials in the deal.
Sa ngayon po ay under investigation pa po ang lahat at kung meron pa pong iba mga opisyal na involved dito, magkakaroon po ng aksyon. Kung sila may tatanggalin, sususpindihin at maagarang investigasyon po ang kinakailangan dito. Sa initial na investigasyon, hindi po affected ang OWA Trust Fund pero iniimbestigahan pa rin po kung may nagamit. Pero initial po na investigasyon, wala daw po.
That was Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Philippines Department of Agriculture, or DA, on Monday said it is investigating alleged unscrupulous traders who may have taken advantage of local rice farmers amid the peak harvest season. This came after reports of procurement from local farmers went as low as 13 pesos per kilogram to 15 pesos per kilogram of palay or unhusked rice in select areas in Luzon. This is significantly lower than the National Food Authority or NFA's price range set at 18 pesos to 24 pesos for clean and dry palay. In a Palace Press briefing, DA Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. said the office of the DA is already investigating these traders who procured at that price. Chu Laurel also cited the DA's plan to set a floor price to help protect farmers from unscrupulous traders. In Luzon alone, Chu Laurel said 32 locations were identified to have a low buying price range. According to the NFA, the lowest reported traders' buying price as of April 30th was logged in Bataan Province at 13 pesos and 50 centavos per kilogram. Other areas with 14 pesos per kilogram price include Cagayan, Alacapan, Kalinga, Nueva Vizcaya, Ifugao, and Quirino in Cagayan Valley, Compostela Valley in southern Mindanao, and Sultan Kudarat in central Mindanao. Chu Laurel, meanwhile, said they will prioritize these areas as well as other locations with low traders buying prices in the NFA's palay procurement for the next harvest season. The NFA is mandated to secure the country's 15-day national rice buffer stock for times of calamities and disasters through palay procurement from local farmers.
Well, meron na kami listahan of areas na identified na talagang mababa ang bili masyado ng traders sa mga farmers. We have 32 locations na sa Luzon na nakikita. At iniimbestigahan na ng opisina ng DA ang kung sino yung mga traders na bumili na yon because we have to identify them and basically may investigation na nangyayari ngayon. Meron na rin kaming plano para sa next harvest season ay yung sa mga lugar na yon na medyo nabilhan ng 13 pesos, 14 pesos, 15 pesos ay kami na pupunta ron sa next harvest season. Nakahanda kami bumili at meron na kaming marketing or purchasing procurement group na mobile na tatakbo sa mga may balitang area na mababa ang presyo ng palay. Well, technically wala as of the moment, pero siyempre maghahanap kami ng paraan na legally baka maglabas kami ng policy in the future. Pero pinag-aaralan pa ho to, But the idea that is set a floor price. Sa ibang bansa, meron mga ganung patakaran, like in India and other countries. So we are studying the best practices sa iba't ibang bansa so that we can hopefully, but of course, itong mga ganito, we were checking pa kung kailan ba ito batas o pwedeng Department Administrative Order lang.
That was Department of Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radio Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.